So today we have with us Kameese Davis. Kameese appeared on Dragon's Den just over a year ago, wasn't it, Kameese?
Yes.
Yeah, welcome, Kameese. Thank you for joining Black Economics TV. You're going to tell us a little bit about your life and your experience in business and going on Dragon's Den and the aftermath, because we're sure you had an avalanche of people trying to grab your products and grab your time. So it's probably a good time for us to do this interview. So you can tell us the before, the after. Is it worth it? Should we not do it? And yeah, it's lovely to have you. I watch Dragon's Den a lot. It's one of my favorite programs. And anytime I see a Black entrepreneur go on there, I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm so happy. And then when they get the money, I'm really, really pleased. If they don't get the money, I know that there's still possibilities because they've had a fantastic bit of airtime. Even if it's 5 minutes, it's 5 minutes of advertising you wouldn't be able to pay $500,000 for or whatever. So I think it's a really good thing that people do, but a lot of people don't have the courage to do it, for whatever nationality they're from. And also, my view is that if I'm going to get turned down, I don't want to get turned down to millions of people.
That's millions.
So that's why I haven't been on there. But, please don't follow me, people. You need to forge your own path and follow Kameese because she did really well. And guess what? She did get the funding. So, welcome to Kameese Davis. Kameese, you are living in the UK. What part of the UK are you in?
I live in the West Midlands, in Birmingham.
Oh, in Birmingham. Oh, are we gonna have some Birmingham accent coming out?
Yeah, you can hear it. When I say it, then you can pick it up.
Oh, fantastic. Well, I'm really pleased to have you. I know there are a number of people who were talking about your story, and it's still available for viewing on BBC iPlayer or on YouTube probably, so people can go and see how you did. So tell us about yourself, Kameese. Tell our audience who you are and what you do.
Of course. So my name's Kameese Davis. I'm a mother of two. Most importantly, I have a 12-year-old old daughter, Nylah, who the brand is named after, and I also have a 6-year-old son. I am the founder of Nyla's Naturals. It's a high-performance, plant-based hair care brand, which is designed to meet some of the challenges that Black women face in caring for their hair, which includes ensuring that it's properly moisturized, hair loss issues, scalp sensitivity, all of that jazz. So the products have been designed using intelligent ingredients to ensure that we can meet the needs of Black women and to also ensure that they have access to healthy products.
Okay, brilliant. So tell us, let's go right back to the beginning now. Tell us where you were brought up, tell us about your education and how you progressed on to become a businesswoman.
Sure. So my background, I'm Jamaican. I was born in Jamaica. I came to the UK. My mom is British, my dad's Jamaican. And I came back to the UK with my mom at a very young age and was raised independently by my mom in a what would be called a disadvantaged area of Birmingham. So I was raised in Aston, where there was a lot of the typical issues that come with being in an area of low employment, low education status, etc. So I would say from the very early ages, I experienced some challenges that included just seeing a lot of violence, we were raised in a ward where there was, gang affiliated behavior, etc. But my mom done a very, very good job at kind of keeping us away from that and promoting the importance of education, academic attainment, um, employability, etc. So my mom was phenomenal in that respect. And I guess she just instilled in me at a very young age a sense of independence, and a goal-getting attitude, which I think comes across in my character today. Yeah, so that's pretty much my background.
How did you do in your education?
I did okay. I did okay. I could have done better.
Okay.
I wasn't your typical A-star student in school at all. But I definitely managed to get what I needed to get out of school. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. So, what kind of jobs did you initially start doing when you became an adult?
Um, so I think my first ever job, I was actually 15 years old. So I shouldn't have been working at all. And that again kind of leads to my self sufficient attitude, my attitude of independence. So I got a cleaning job at 16, 15, and that was just basically to help my mom out. I would go to school, leave school, go into my cleaning job, and come home and do my homework and contribute in any way I could to the household, even
Oh,
if that was just about ensuring that I didn't have to ask my mom for things like bus fare, clothes money, dinner money, etc. I really wanted to alleviate some of the pressures that she was experiencing as a single mom. Um, and then as I kind of juggled studying, which I went to school and I studied science in college. And then I decided I didn't want to do science. I had a family bereavement. I dropped out of higher education. And then I started to focus on becoming a careers advisor and employability advisor, something that I kind of just fell into. I saw an advert in the papers. This was back in the day, so it's showing how old I am, where the jobs used to be in the papers. And
oh,
it was advertising for a trainee employability advisor. I was 19 years old at the time with no experience at all, really, to advise anybody. But I applied for it anyway. And I got the opportunity. And from the age of 19 to the age of 27, I worked in a employability stroke careers advisory capacity
mm.
for various different organizations and companies, and with various types of people. So from children in schools all the way up to adults.
Mm,
Yeah.
that's interesting. So really, when you went on TV, there are probably 1,000 people thinking, "Oh, I've seen that before. Oh, she had my job.
There
Oh,
was
she
definitely,
helped me with my career. I hope some of
yeah.
them contacted you and started to buy your products."
Yeah, I had a lot of, which was lovely. I had a lot of emails from children that I had supported in some capacity or the other, just saying thank you for the support that I'd given them and how I helped to put them on their career path. So that was really nice, giving them the
Oh,
opportunity to get back in touch with me. That was lovely.
oh, that's
Yeah.
lovely. That's really nice. Okay. So, did you have a period of time when you were perhaps unemployed and were wondering what to do, or did you just go straight to work and you stayed there till you
Yeah.
started your business?
No, I've never had a period of unemployment.
Oh,
The longest time of we would call probably inactivity I had was during maternity leave. But other than that, from the age of 15, when I got my first job, I've always worked
mm.
in some capacity or the other. However, this Nyla's Naturals is my first period of self-employment,
Oh, wow. Okay,
my
brilliant.
first business.
Okay, so tell us how Nyla's Naturals came about.
So, my daughter, when she was born, um, several months, after her birth, I noticed that she started to develop eczema and she had really, really sensitive skin. just all of the symptoms of having eczema. And I wanted to ensure that I didn't aggravate her skin by introducing her to products which would aggravate her condition anymore. And I have what I describe as quite an obsessive personality sometimes. So once I get interested in a topic or fascinated with a topic, I become like just really, really passionate. I use the word passionate about that topic. So I want to know everything about it. And with her eczema, trying to do the best that I could do as a mom, I learned, eczema was autoimmune, that it was triggered by a lot of external factors, etc. And then I just started on a journey of eliminating a lot of the things that would trigger her eczema. What I couldn't find was a hair care product. So found loads of skincare products, made home remedies for her, managed to get her off the dermatologist register. I remember the dermatologist actually asked me if I would consider being a parent advisor because her skin just really flourished. And it's just because of my understanding of what she needed as an individual.
Mm.
And I turned to trying to find a solution for her scalp. So I needed to care for her hair, but her scalp was just so sensitive. So that kind of put me on a journey of what I call ingredient consciousness. And then I became aware that many of the products marketed to Black women included ingredients that were questionable.
Oh, really?
So it included ingredients that had been linked to cancer, that had been linked to, hormone disruption, which is called endocrine disruptors, and a whole host of other type of conditions. There was a lot of anecdotal information that suggested that the products marketed to Black women were causing things like fibroids, etc.
Really?
Um, Absolutely. So you can go on, there's a company called the Environmental Working Group. And if you go onto their website and you look at any INCI list, so your INCI list is the list of ingredients on the back of your product. You just type some of the ingredients in, that will give you a hazard rate of that particular ingredient.
Wow.
And at the time in 2010, 2011, a lot of the products for Black women had high hazard scores because of the
Wow.
ingredients which were being used. So, of course, I didn't want to use anything like that on my daughter. And then I started to look for natural hair care brands for Black women. There was a range of opportunities or products in America, but there was nothing in the UK. And after shipping those products to the UK for a sustained period of time, I realized actually this is not sustainable because in addition to product cost, there's shipping cost, there's custom charges, there's the time that it takes to get into the UK. And I thought, well, if they can do it in the UK, in the US, then I'm going to try and do something in the UK. If I'm experiencing this problem as a mom, then there's other women who are experiencing this problem and this challenge. And I just thought I was very angry with the cosmetic industry. I was very angry that the needs of Black women was once again being overlooked. And I was very angry that the products that they did provide for us were one, so very cheap in terms of they included ingredients that would actually damage our hair,
Mm.
and included a lot of waste products such as mineral oil and petroleum.
Mm.
And then two, they were just so unhealthy.
Mm.
And being someone who is passionate about the upliftment and the well-being of the Black community, this was one way that I thought I could contribute to the continuous upliftment of Black women and the Black community in general.
So this is a very interesting angle. These products, which are harmful and some of which are carcinogenic, are these found in products for white hair?
Not at the inclusion rate that they are in Black hair care products.
Okay, so is it that they thought we wouldn't find out or we wouldn't care?
I mean, I can't speak to their intentions. But what I can say is their intentions are questionable because they know the impact of these ingredients. But what my research had uncovered was that, again, a lot of people that were formulating these products were formulating without an understanding of black hair and without an understanding of what black hair actually needs. So, a lot of the products historically have included high occlusive ingredients. So, occlusives are kind of thick oils that have a very high abrasion rate, which means that once they're applied to the skin or the hair, it will take kind of like a degreasing shampoo, for example, etc., to kind of break down the molecular size of that particular product to ensure that it's removed.
Mm.
And what was happening is we were applying a lot of these high occlusives. So we were applying these greases to our hair, thinking that that was going to encourage the hair growth, but it was actually causing damage to the scalp by interrupting the process of desquamation. Where desquamation is the rate in which your skin cells rejuvenate. And it was also stopping hydration, which is water molecules from entering into the cortex of the hair and hydrating the hair. So we had very, very greasy hair, but we had very dry hair and it was prone to breakage. And again, because of a misunderstanding of how important our hair was to us as Black women and our culture, etc., they were using cheap ingredients. So again, petroleum, mineral oil, these are waste products. So they're waste products from the oil and gas industry. And when it's mined, you're left with this petroleum type substance. And the cheapest way to get rid of it, because actually it's more expensive to get rid of it in a way that's environmentally friendly. So the cheapest way to get rid of it is to give it to the cosmetic industry and sell it for pennies. So you'll find that, you know, if we can go to a typical Black hair care shop, I won't say the name of one, and pick up a product for, let's say, $2.99. I always say to Black women, if you can get a product that's 500 mils for $2.99 and everybody in the supply chain has managed to make money from that $2.99, you have to question what is in this product. It's not about how cheap a product is, it's about how healthy and effective a product is. And the Black industry is lucrative, but it hasn't been cared for in the right way.
Yeah.
And what I'm enjoying seeing now is Black women take ownership of our industry. You know, I'm not the only hair care brand. I'm not, there's loads of skincare brands, etc., where Black women are taking ownership of the industry and saying, actually, no, one, we know what we need. And two, we're passionate about ensuring that we're provided for in a healthy way. And I think that's wonderful. And that's why as a community group, it's really important for us not to just focus on cost price, but to focus on, you know, economic empowerment for the Black community, which means shopping as Black as you possibly can to keep the pounds circulating within our community, but also knowing that you're being provided for in a loving way.
Mm. Well, this is a revolutionary. Um, Certainly in terms of my own education, I wasn't aware that there were so many dangerous items within our hair products. I remember hearing about it for the first time, I don't know, maybe about 3 or 4 years ago. I saw an article, and then maybe every 6 months or so something pops up, but I haven't, like, as you have done, you've gone in and you've really researched it. I haven't. I
Yes.
think we might have an article or two about this on our website. It's not something I've gone into and really used it to inform my buying processes.
Yeah.
But
Well, there's the Silent Spring Institute, which is a institute in America, published an article in 2018 or 2019, which kind of proved, because they've done their research, that 8 out of 10 of products marketed towards Black women were questionable. contained.
Oh my God, are they trying to kill us off or something? Huh? Or
It's
are we just an easy way to make money? Because
the
my view was that if they mix up a few items, put it in a bottle and mark on it, grows your hair, people will rush out and buy it.
the black consumer has always been a consumer that, our buying power is trillions globally, trillions. We're a very powerful group in terms of our combined spending habits.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is that our spending habits have not been conducive to our own betterment.
Mm.
And that's a mindset shift, you know.
Absolutely.
It's about saying, okay, I will travel further to go to buy from somebody who is selling me healthy products or is supporting my own group than to buy conveniently and cheaper. It's about looking at the long-term objectives and not the short-term aim. It's about looking at the community as a whole and not me individually. And I think once we start to move and operate as a community group, we will see that will start to demand more respect, right? So, for example, my products are available in Superdrug and they're available in Boots. And the reason for that is to ease the accessibility of healthy and effective products for Black people, but also these companies are investing in trying to ensure the economic empowerment of Black women. However, you've got other companies that I refuse to put my products in that are more local, that are
Really?
available in the community. Yeah, absolutely. I refuse. I refuse.
Wow.
I refuse.
So for you,
Um,
money is not everything, huh?
no,
Good
it's
for
not. And
you.
it I mean, as a business person to say that, I'm like, Cam, are you really saying that as a business person? I am highly principled and I am very passionate about Black economic empowerment. And I am very passionate about ensuring that the Black buying experience is a positive one. And if we're going in shops where we're being disrespected, we're being followed around the stores, they don't even want to touch our hand when we're handing them the money. Why am I going to put my product in that shop and kind of perpetuate that cycle for Black women? I'd rather not have the money. I would rather not have it.
Oh, you're very
So
principled.
yeah, which in business isn't always conducive to becoming a millionaire. I recognize that. But that's who I am. I'm a Black woman who is passionate about Black upliftment, and that will always be the forefront of business for me.
Hmm. Well, that's a very interesting angle. So it's as if we're saying that, okay, there might be 5 to 10 Black hair and beauty shops.
8 out of 10. Black products, you're saying?
No, in terms of the
Sorry.
ownership of these businesses,
Mm,
might be, say, 5 to 8 Black hair and beauty product shops not owned by Blacks in a local area to most Black residents. Yeah. So what you're saying is that you prefer not to supply those shops. You would prefer to put them in mainstream shops such as Boots and Superdrug.
I prefer to supply shops that respect the consumer.
Mm, okay.
I will provide to any buyer that is respectful of the Black community.
Okay. Oh,
And unfortunately, the shopping experiences for Black women in some of these shops haven't been positive, and I will not support that.
okay. 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 I wonder if, which is kind of a different conversation we can have another time, but I'll just put this out there now. I wonder if there is a way to change the reception of Black customers within non-Black owned hair and beauty shops. I wonder if there's a kind of a training thing that needs to happen, a kind of a shift in terms of how they view us. Because in a way, we're feeding them, we're feeding their families, those
I
owners.
don't think it's a shift in the way they view us. I think it's a shift in how we view ourselves, to
Mm,
be honest with you. I Unless we demand a certain type of customer service, we're
mm,
not going to get it. And the only way that we can show our demand of a certain type of customer service is to not shop in a space where we're being disrespected.
yeah.
And that requires a community collaborative approach. So I wouldn't say it's a training issue of any other group.
Mm,
We have a lot of buying power
yeah.
as a group. And if we remove our buying habits and withhold it from establishments where we're not properly being catered for, then we will change the way in which we're being provided for. So
Mm,
I'll give you an example. In the start of 2010, Black women became very um, passionate and proud of their hair, their identity, and they started to change their buying habits in that they were no longer buying perms, stopped buying straight perms, and the sales of straight perms collapsed.
yeah,
And it
absolutely.
forced these companies to start to say, okay, what are the demands of Black women? They're now demanding natural hair care products. And these same companies that were providing, perms which were corrosive, let's face it, they started to supply hair products that were healthier.
Mm,
So once we as a group decide what it is that we're going to invest our money in, um, we will change the provision of product. But I would go one step further to start to say, not just think about things like that, but think about how we as a community are going to start to uplift and sustain our own economic well-being.
mm,
And that's through things like the Black economy, that's through things like the Black Pound Day, that's about understanding the importance of supporting small Black businesses because we don't get the same financial support that our peer groups get. There's a lot of stats that show Black women in particular who are going for investment, less than 0.2% of VC funding goes to Black women. We as a community, we are tasked to prove our concept before we get money, where other communities get money to prove their concept. So
oh,
unless we're
absolutely.
being supportive of our own businesses, we're not going to get to the stage where we have an economic power. And
Mm,
that's the world is based on power, economic power. And, once we have businesses, we can provide jobs, we can build schools, we can build communities, we can build
mm,
infrastructures. And that all comes from our ability to build really big multi-million pound enterprises. And we can only do that because we have £1 trillion spending ability. We can only do that when we start to invest in our own businesses.
oh, amazing. This is a revelation, Cam. Wow, I can see something even bigger than what you're doing right now. But then maybe you're on the road to that already. So let's touch on that a little later. So let's dial back now. When you decided that you were going to produce a range of hair products, did you try it locally first, sort of the family, friends, local people, local shops, see if any of them would buy it from you, or did you go straight for the top?
So I started mixing creams and stuff in the house, shea butter oils, that kind of stuff, and made my own hair butters and body scrubs and little soaps, and it was great. But I realized that the efficacy wasn't there. You know, Shea butter is wonderful, mixing stuff at home's great. But what I wanted was a really high performance product. What I wanted was something that took into consideration the actual scientific structure of Black hair and the needs of Black skin. And I didn't have the skills to formulate what I wanted. So I started to do my research. I would go to cosmetic shows, I would go to ingredient trade shows,
Wow.
and started to understand what's out there, what's being included in the highest performance product, and how can I include that product in my range. And a lot of that was negotiation. I would go to these massive ingredient engineer companies, and I'd be like, hi, I want to start a brand and I really want to include this product. And then it would be like, yeah, that's fine. It cost, £99 for a kilogram of this product, or a kilo of this product, sorry. So like, brilliant. I can afford £99 for a kilo. And then it was like, yeah, but you have to buy 1,000 kilos. And then suddenly that was like, yeah, I can't do that. So then there was a lot of negotiation around, okay, this is the status of the market that I'm trying to provide for. You can help become kind of like an ally by helping me have a lower order quantity of this particular product so I can include it. There was a lot of no's, but occasionally there were some yeses. So managed to get the raw materials I wanted to include in the product at a amount and quantity that I could afford. And then it was about finding a cosmetic scientist that was willing to work with these raw materials in a way that was different to how they had typically understood that product. And then that started a whole nother challenge. So the formulation product process for me was several years. There was a lot of, yeah, this isn't working. You've included the wrong thing. I don't like this ingredient. I've done my research. Hell no, you're not including that. And then eventually we got the formulation and then, manufactured and went to market.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And
Okay.
I was very naive. What I will say is I was very naive when I started the brand as an entrepreneur, with no business experience whatsoever and just this passion. Um, there was a lot of things that I would do differently if I could go back and do it again.
Hmm, hmm. But you really did your homework. I mean, that's amazing.
Yes, I'm a geek. I'm like
Yeah. I
top-notch
remember
super geek.
one of my friends said to me once, because she goes to a lot of these markets sometimes that black creators are going sometimes to little markets that are set up to sell direct to the consumer. So these may take place at weekends, bank holidays, and so on. And she said she was in a hall with several um, sellers or vendors, and she said there seemed to be shea butter everywhere. You know, it's almost as if not many people are being innovative. And it's funny that you should mention shea butter everyone. It's just as if people felt, well, this is like the magic ingredient. But I've tried shea butter and I don't see what the fuss is, to be honest.
Shea butter is a beautiful ingredient. It it's beautiful in so many ways. It's beautiful just in terms of its performance and its efficacy. And it's also beautiful because, it originates in Africa and it helps to support communities over there, which is always a good thing.
Yes.
But I think the way in which a lot of people are passionate about starting a brand and providing healthy products, but unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, it's just that some people haven't thought about, okay, how can I take this to the next level? Which
Yes.
for me, it was, I want to provide a product, but I want to provide a product that's equal to the products that are being provided to other communities in terms of efficacy, in terms of look, in terms of everything, right? So even if you look at the packaging, and the patterns of my product, that represents Ancora, it represents heritage, it represents science, it represents hair. And I wanted to include all of these representations of Black culture in a product that was high performance, but still very much rooted in heritage.
Mm,
Yeah.
okay, great. That's very interesting. So people need to step up and aim higher. What about when you first made your first batch of products?
Mm.
Did you do it for a small community or were you looking at nationwide production?
Um, I'd done the smallest amount that the manufacturers would allow and what my budget would allow because I self-funded,
Yeah,
I'm not from an affluent family with
I hear you.
lots of money. So I self-funded, I saved and scraped together the money that I had. And I remember when my product came, and this is where I say the naivety presents itself because when the product arrived, I had 1,000 shampoo and conditioner because I that's all I launched with. And I remember them coming, I was like, yeah, how am I going to sell this now? Like I've put all of this effort into developing the product, and I did not consider at all how I was going to sell the product. I didn't
Really?
consider, no, I didn't consider a marketing budget, routes to market, getting in front of the customer, didn't give it any thought. So when the product finally arrived and it was kind of like a high and then a low, like shit, like I can sell this now. Like, how am I gonna do that? So I used to have them in the boot of my car.
Hmm. Well,
I'd
that's
go to
how
like my
Jay-Z
daughter's,
started. Don't
yeah.
worry. Fine.
I'd go to my daughter's school and be like, "Hi, would you like to try my shampoo?"
Oh,
Family, friends, and then I started to go to like little trade shows and that kind of stuff. And it wasn't until because I had no money, right? And money makes money. I had
yeah,
no
yeah.
money. I had no business acumen. I didn't know that I could go and try and find investment. No one told me. Who knew, right? So I'm actually embarrassed at how naive I was. And I think in 2020, I saved a little bit more money and I was like, okay, I'm going to have to start marketing this now. So I started to look at digital marketing, getting a website created, etc. So by the time you saw me on Dragon's Den, I filmed that in October 2020. I had literally just started marketing in August.
Oh,
So my exactly everything that I had
wow.
done previous to that was word of mouth sales and trade shows. So when I went on the show and I was like, oh, first year 12 grand, second year 14, it was like I hadn't done any marketing at all, right? Um, so yeah, when I went on the show, it was a brilliant opportunity for exposure, but we had also started to market the products as well.
Okay.
And we've had an amazing reaction to the brand since. Yeah.
Okay. What made you go on Dragon's Den?
Um, so I used to like Dragon's Den. I've got PSD now. I used to really enjoy the show. And in 2020, I had read a book by Shonda Rhimes called The Year of Yes. And in this book, she describes the importance of saying yes to any opportunity. And she took this year where she would literally just say yes to everything, and it completely changed her life. And after reading the book, I was like, okay, right, year of yes. Let's see if I can apply this to my life and my circumstances and see what results will come from that. So I was watching Dragon's Den, and after the show, they say, if you have a business and you'd like to feature on Dragon's Den, and I was like, yes. Yes. So I submitted my application, didn't think anything of it, and I think it was March. I think it was like March. I got a call from the producers saying that I've been shortlisted. Um, then you have to go through several stage shortlisting process before you're actually invited to appear in front of the dragons. So I was told that I would appear in front of the dragons, I think like two weeks prior to appearing. Um, prior to that, it was very much up in the air as to whether or not the producers would decide to feature the brand on the show. And even after appearing, there's still a editing process where your segment might not get appeared on the show. But for me, um it was difficult because I am actually an introvert, believe it or not. So the thought of appearing in front of millions of people was very overwhelming for me. But I committed to my year of yes, and that's why I appeared.
Wow. Well, the first thing that pops out to me is that they gave you 2 weeks' notice, which
Yeah, it was about 2 weeks
is
before
enough to
you go
panic
on.
about, to be honest. 2 weeks, that's just
Yeah.
crazy.
I
Because,
mean, to be fair, you know that it might happen, right? Because you know you've gone through each stage and you've been shortlisted. So they say you might appear. So you've still got time to prepare just in case you are invited in. But you don't get that confirmation.
okay, okay.
Like, yeah,
And the
2 weeks,
other
two
thing that
weeks.
pops out to me is that you need to send a message to Shonda Rhimes and say, this is what
Yeah.
this is what your book
I
propels
think
me to
her
do.
book, I think her book has changed a lot of lives, and I
Okay.
definitely recommend any work by Shonda Rhimes. She's just an incredible woman.
Yeah,
She's
she's phenomenal.
fantastic. Yeah.
Oh, well, that would certainly help you to uh, put your products and yourself in front of her, but you never know. She might become a customer, you know?
You never know.
You never know, absolutely. So you should definitely make that connection. So when you went on Dragon's Den, we saw you did your pitch and then you became quite emotional. Do you
Big,
think
big
it's
national
maybe
TV. I
all
started bawling, big national TV. Oh God. I can't live that down. And the thumbnail that they
Oh,
use on YouTube, I'm like, oh, for goodness sake, come on, guys, cut me some slack. Big, big. I was so embarrassed.
oh, wow. Oh, but it just shows that you were probably, really willing yourself to do well. You prepared so much. You probably worked really, really hard. You were exhausted.
I was
And then,
exhausted. I was
something someone
exhausted.
said just triggered you. And we kind of understand because,
Yeah.
at some point, many of us have been there. And I think
Yeah.
you just pulled at the heartstrings of the nation. Such that
Yeah,
people,
yeah. I
people
mean,
really
my poker face definitely let me down.
oh.
Um, but it was a very long day. I was incredibly emotional. I
Yeah.
think what people see when they watch Dragon's Den is they see the 5 minute segment. I was in that studio in terms of being in front of the dragons for at least 2 hours, at least. And my feet were killing me. I was exhausted. I was being bombarded with all of these questions that you don't see
Oh,
in terms of drilling down into the nitty-gritty of the business. There
yeah.
were comments that were made that were not very nice. Do you know what I
Oh,
mean?
wow.
There were inferences and body languages that I seen that you didn't see. So by the time it got to the close where I was, being offered investment, I felt like it wasn't going to happen,
Mm,
and it was overwhelming because it was something that I really wanted, and it was a challenge for me to be in that space in the first place because I'm an introvert and because being on the thought of being on TV was overwhelming. So I think all of those things just came to the forefront and I got really emotional.
yeah.
And, I was very frustrated
Mm,
as well. And when I get frustrated, I tend to cry. I was very frustrated that some of the investors on the panel didn't seem to understand that my numbers were reflective of the fact that I hadn't done any marketing at all
mm,
and wasn't reflective of the fact that I hadn't got a budget at all. And I don't think they really took that into consideration. Here is an entrepreneur that doesn't have any working capital, that hasn't done any marketing to this point, and she's standing here um, with some traction, having spoken to Holland and Barrett's, having spoken to Superdrug, having those high level conversations about her brand. This definitely shows a certain amount of acumen. And I think Sarah saw that. Sarah recognized that. In fact, the two women on the panel recognized that. And she obviously made me the offer. Now, what a lot of people don't know is that I actually turned that down. So I didn't take Sarah's investment.
What?
Um, yeah, I didn't take the investment.
Oh, hold on. On the show, you took it.
On the show,
What
I took it.
was you
On the
turned
show, I
it?
took it. And then there's a process of due diligence where the
Yeah.
investor looks into you, your business, what you claimed, etc., to make sure that all stands up, which it did. And then they make you the offer again. And then I also have the opportunity to scrutinize the contract, terms, the conditions, to understand what the offer entails. And in doing that, I felt that this wasn't a particular offer for me.
What?
I felt that um, there were other ways that I could get access to the funding that I needed without having to give, without having to give, I'm trying to find the right words to say this because of the NDA, um, without having to not necessarily give up a percentage of the business, but give up a percentage of myself.
Oh,
And
wow.
I just felt that there were as phenomenal as Sarah is, and I have nothing bad to say about Sarah. She's a businesswoman, but I felt that that wasn't the right opportunity for me, so I turned it down.
What? Oh, my goodness. So the achievement where you are today is basically through
Me,
your own
yeah.
efforts. Oh, my God. Well done to you.
Thank you.
More power to your elbow. Goodness gracious
Thank
me.
you.
Well, I must say, I'm a bit, as you can see, taken aback, but I'm proud of you because you did what you felt you needed to, but you still progress and you still managed to get these big contracts. So,
Yeah, and it's hard.
yeah,
It's not easy. Again, I'm a Black woman in business with no working capital. Everything that the business earns, it's put back in the business to grow the business. It's tough.
mm,
And I think that needs to be spoken about more when you are a woman in business. There's a lot to juggle, but there's a lot of constraints, there's a lot of glass ceilings, there's a lot of things to overcome, and it takes it out of you.
yes, I understand.
Being a business owner isn't just awards and red carpets and PR and magazine. There's a lot of rolling up sleeves. I was in the warehouse the other day, you know, packing pallets,
Mm,
you know, and I want to showcase this because I think sometimes on social media, there's a projection that entrepreneurship is this fantastic lifestyle that you kind of jump into, but nobody talks about the tears, the challenges, the losses, the rejection, the sleepless nights, the balancing cash flow, the stresses. No one talks about that. And it creates this unrealistic expectation for what entrepreneurialism is. And it means that a lot of people entering into an entrepreneurial endeavor might quit too early because they think they're failing when they're not. It's just part of the journey. It's just part of the journey. Failure is part of the journey, right? So I, where possible, want to use my platform to say, no, man, this is tough.
mm,
This is hard.
mm.
There are days where I'm like, this ain't working. And there are days where I get a six-figure order and I'm like, okay, this is working. Um, I think that what separates the people who make it to the people that don't is persistence. I
Mm.
think what separates the people who achieve something substantial is taking those losses and using them as stepping stones and lessons to get better, to achieve, to keep going, to keep climbing. Like I literally believe, literally in the depth of me, that there is no failure. There's no failure. There are lessons. And ultimately, how those lessons impact me and my life is how I use those lessons in order to move forward.
Mm.
Do I use them in a positive way? Is my mindset around it positive, or is my mindset around it negative and dejected? And do I play chess with it? There's so many situations that I'll play chess with, and I'll think of, okay, what are all of these possible outcomes, and which is the way that I should move forward? And I don't always get it right. Sometimes I get it wrong, but then I won't get it wrong again because I've learned now. I've
Yeah.
learned that's not how you do it. Who was it that said, I I learned 1,000 ways of how not to do it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
I don't know
there's a
if you said
fact.
it, but
I
that's
didn't
quite
learn one
profound.
way how to do it. I learned 1,000 ways how not to, and that got me to the place of accomplishment. And I apply that logic to my life in so
Okay.
many areas of my life.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, have you considered um, raising funds elsewhere? Uh,
So yes, so we I had been offered 250,000 from a Midlands-based VC. And they wanted Sarah to stay on board, and she turned that down, which is one of the reasons why I felt that she wasn't the best option for the company at the time. So I just couldn't quite understand um, why I just couldn't quite understand why she wouldn't want to be part of that
yeah, even
opportunity.
if it's for a year or two, sure.
Yeah, yeah. However, and then I stopped trying to chase money because chasing money within itself is a full-time job.
It's time
And then,
consuming. Yeah.
yeah, and then I kind of got into this place where it was like chase money or grow the brand or chase money. It's like, and I decided to just focus on the brand.
Okay.
And that in itself has just kind of grown naturally. The space has changed. When I had this concept when my daughter was a baby, she's 12 now, you know, the space has changed. There's a lot of players in the game. There's a lot of products, and it's not as niche anymore. So of course the supply and demand is different. So, me being an entrepreneur as I am, it's like, okay, how can I pivot? How can I change? How can I kind of adjust things with all of the knowledge that I have from this brand? How am I going to apply that? And I'm applying that, and we'll see what happens from that. I'm in the process of strategizing to enter into the US. And there's a lot of plans for me as an individual, as an entrepreneur, as a business owner. And time will tell. Time we will see. I can only give it my all.
Yeah. How many products do you have?
In the range, there are 6 products in the range.
Okay. Have you started doing skin products as well? Because you were quite knowledgeable about that
I
with
am, I
expert.
am, but I believe that the skincare market is provided for.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. Sometimes when people want to support you with your products, whatever you bring out, they'll support you.
Absolutely,
Gonna name the
absolutely.
person. But I also think another business avenue for you might be to set up your own hair and beauty shops and showcase one at least as a way that, as a model for the rest of the Black community, because there's so many of our hair and beauty product outlets which are not owned by us for whatever reason. And certainly from the way that you were speaking earlier on, you have an idea of what it should be like, what the ideal Black owned hair and beauty shop should be like. And there really should be 2 or 3 of these in every neighborhood.
Yeah, I have an ideal of how we should move and operate more as a community. I have an idea of solidarity
Mm.
and the importance of solidarity. Um, I don't think having a black hair shop would necessarily be for me, but
Mm.
I would definitely like to encourage anyone out there to look at, doing so if that's something that they want to do. There's a hair, there's quite a few. There's Hair Glow. There's a couple of in Birmingham that are black owned. researching them, supporting them so that they can grow. The more we invest, the more we shop, the more we make them, sell them out and they ain't got no product left on the shelf, the bigger that they can get.
Mm,
They can develop franchises and different stores and they can grow
mm.
and we can do this, but it's about changing our buying habits.
Yeah. Okay. So I think certainly your knowledge and your concept of what it should be, I think that's definitely something you should spread the news about. And I don't know if you do like public speaking,
I
if
do.
if you
I
go on
do.
tours, maybe speak in churches and associations, speak at events, black or white organized.
Yes.
Because I think your story is inspirational, but I also think that sometimes we have concepts that you can drop those seeds in other people who would run and do it, even if you can't do it yourself. I think you should definitely do more of that. I mean, I'm inspired by you, and I think there are many hundreds of thousands, millions of people out there who will be inspired by what you've said today, but also what you can continue to say as you travel around the country. That should really be part of your marketing.
Thank you. I mean, female empowerment events is definitely high on the agenda for me. So
Good.
I'll let you know. I'll share that with you, and then if you could share that with your community, that would be awesome. Um, yeah, I take that with love. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. So, have you kept in touch with Sarah?
I have not. I have not. Sarah is extremely busy,
Yeah.
a phenomenal woman, an entrepreneur, and someone who, inspires a lot of women. And unfortunately, when I decided that I was no longer going to take the investment, then of course she has a lot of other things that she needs to give her time to,
You
and
probably
I'm
broke
not one
her
of.
heart, Cam. Huh?
I'm sure I did not. I'm sure I did not.
It's like setting up a new relationship and then the other person.
Heartbreaker, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Left
Mind
to
the
left to at the
heartbreakers,
altar.
ladies. They're out there. They're out there.
You left to at the altar. So do you have a coach, mentors? Because people usually say that these are good for them.
Coaches are phenomenal. I don't have a coach yet. There is a lady that I am thinking of engaging with, a Birmingham business coach who is absolutely phenomenal. But for me, now is not the right time. So I don't have a coach. I've never had a coach. I do coach myself. I read a lot. I
Good,
am an
good,
avid reader.
excellent.
I journal. I, emotional intelligence is really important for me. Growing in you know any capacity is really important for me. So at the moment, um, I'm doing an okay job, but I would definitely recommend a coach in business
Mm.
and in life if that's something that you have access to and the time for. I don't have the time for one yet. And as soon as I free up some more time by automating my business a little bit more, I'm definitely going to start the journey of having a coach.
So if there are people that want to order your product either for sale in their stores or for
So
sale.
it's in Superdrug. If you can get it because it sells out quite quickly in
Oh
Superdrug.
wow,
That's one of
fantastic.
that's one of my challenges. My challenge is supply. This
Okay.
products sell out quickly, and then I have this huge manufacturing lead time, and it's one of the things that's really impacting on growth. So it's a good problem in terms of the list of problems that you can have, but it's a problem nonetheless.
Yeah, because
So you can get them in Superdrug and then you can also get them online as well,
okay.
which is nylasnaturals.com. And you can follow us on our social media platforms, which is Nylah underscore UK. And we share a lot of information about ingredients, about hair science, well-being, all of that stuff. And then you can follow me on my personal page, which is I am Kameese, or I underscore am underscore Kameese, which is all about my entrepreneurial journey.
Okay, well, we will definitely put these links underneath the video. And if people are wanting to support you directly, then they can find you via your website. they can buy your product via your website, and definitely communicate with you via your social media as well.
Absolutely. Yeah.
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 Okay. Well, it'd be lovely perhaps to check in with you maybe in a year to 18 months' time when you've taken over the world. Yeah. And yeah, we're going to try and see what we can do to help support. I think this message definitely needs to get out and about, and we will stay in touch.
Thank you, Dawn. Thank you for your
Thank you
time
so
and
much
being
for.
honored to be on your platform. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for creating your products. Thank you for being brave enough to follow through that dream. And I'm just hoping that your other ambitions are going to be realized and faster than you think.
Thank you.
So you have confidence, and I love the things you were saying earlier on about Black economics, basically. I think we need to adopt you, because that's our mantra in terms of, promoting each other within the business, but also making sure that our products are available for everybody, not just Black people.
Absolutely.
Everybody can use your products. I've seen white people
Absolutely.
using your
Yeah.
products too.
And I do have just watching the times, I've got another meeting. I do have a lot of my regular consumers are actually white women, with curly hair that absolutely love the product. And this brings me on to another caveat actually, because how do I say this? I think sometimes we as a community don't necessarily understand that we can sell to other communities
Yes.
too. We can have businesses that grow naturally and they sell, and once the businesses are sold, we can then take that money and we can invest into other opportunities. And if we look at the owner of Sheer Moisture, for example, he sold his business to L'Oreal, and at the time there was a lot of backlash because of the sale. But what did he do with that money? He set up a fund for Black female-owned businesses to invest in those businesses as a condition of the contract. He said to L'Oreal, we need a fund to invest in Black women. But at the same time, there was a lot of kickback from the community. And I didn't understand that. He had grown his business to the point where a cosmetic giant wanted to buy it. Yeah. That's the point of business. A lot of businesses having an exit strategies, that's the point of it. And we should be championing that, because he's been able then to invest in other businesses and other startups that support the community. And I just think sometimes that needs to be considered, just a different thought and perspective on a topic that I think is garnering a lot of attention.
Well, girl, I think you need to be writing your own book, okay?
Thank you.